Well, hello and welcome to AOR Project Cars Endurance League, and it's tier 2, and it's round 9, I believe, which is Daytona road course. And I think we're gonna have a good race on our hands today. Unfortunately, I'm Z3 and I am missing my co-commentator today, so will have to be on my own today. It's gonna be a real long one, but it's gonna be a good one. So far, as you can see, it is our Slicker who has taken provisional pole. We have Gio out on the lap as of the moment, though. Gio, who really didn't have the best race last week, but well, kind of had quite a huge downfall from the week before, but you never know, he might be back at it today. Some info for everyone for the race. It's going to be some overcast during the race, but it should be clear without any rain, so we won't see that spicing it up. That could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing. All after what you think yourself. And does not look like Gio is able to beat Slicker, or getting some beautiful views of Gio here. And this is, I got to admit, I have never seen LMP2 cars on this track before. I haven't watched much of this track, at all, so it's a little unfamiliar for me, but hopefully not too unfamiliar. And speaking of it, round 9, second to last race of the season. And Ghost does not seem to be out on a lap, as Gio has taken pole with his last lap of the session, I believe, at least. So it looks like we're gonna have Gio in front of our Slicker. I don't think Ghost is up, so well, then quali is over, and it's gonna be Gio in pole ahead of our Slicker, ILRT Ghost, Junior Lock and Load in 4th, Michelle in 5th, Jerry Stephanie in 6th. That is a new racer as far as I know. Our racer in 7th, Aresi in 8th, Yabba the Hutt in 9th, and Pasha Proton in 10th. And we're gonna head, and Siddharth in 11th actually. Can't forget about him either, even though he is starting last. There is a long race. They're gonna be driving for 2 hours straight. Maybe they made the best driver win for that matter. And we We are now waiting on the rolling start to begin. As probably most of you watching knows, we're doing the first lap as a rolling start, a manual rolling start that is. And while we're waiting on that, we can have a look at the championship so far. It is our racer leading at a trim with a 50.5 point gap down to GBD, I believe that is Geo, and there is only 2 races left, so there isn't much to do it on then. Down in third in the championship you have the Thomas, our racer's teammate, who is just 3 points behind, well, just 2 points behind Geo. Then you have Michel in fourth, and there the gap is a little bigger again at 28.5. But now we see that the drivers are starting the rolling start. And this is gonna be an interesting one. So I usually do a few predictions every race. I'm gonna start off with that already, and I'm gonna say that today we're gonna see ILRT Ghost winning the race in the end. He's been by far one of the quickest drivers in some of the races, but he's struggled quite a lot with his consistency, especially in the last race where I believe he had at least 3 spins and 1 incident. But he still managed to get second place, so he showed great pace for the championship. It's kind of really over for him too. He's not up there fighting for one of the higher positions. He's had too many, well, pretty much too many bad races for that. Couple of races without starting and a few DNFs, so he really has one thing to do, and that is win. As we see Gio leading them out in front of Slicker. It's all about to start as Gio is deciding. It's gonna be very crucial for him to get a nice launch at the start. As they're going through these road circuit combinations. And look at Slicker in that outside lane. Slicker is gonna be hungry for that win today. And you can see they're all ready. Black car in third. That's my prediction for today. That's who's gonna win. If I get it right, although I do have to admit I usually don't get a lot of the predictions right. But now you can see them all lined up. as Gio goes for it. Slicker with a really bad getaway there. He's gonna lose at least one position. As we see Junior lock and load on the inside of Slicker. Slicker, however, is coming back at lock and load, but it's gonna be Slicker in third for a moment. But look at this though, there is a lot of cars battling. As we can also see our racer here getting passed by Sidar. Sidar started from the last position, had a good start. Ooh, as our racer is on the grass. Fortunately, it looks like it went fine. Oh, and look at this, there is gonna be plenty of battles today. What about Junior lock and load? He's right behind was a little unfamiliar for me. Jerry and Stephanie. I'm gonna go with Stephanie for her tonight. Oh, somebody has gone straight off, and I believe that was Michelle. Yeah, and it might have been Siddharth who had something to do with that, as he clearly waited up. But Junior lock and load though, still right on the tail of Stephanie, and he's looking good today. Also in the lead we can see that it is between some of the drivers who's really shown great pace during the season. It's Gio still in the lead, but ILRT Ghost is right behind him, and not far behind there we have Slicker too, as we see that Michel is already gonna go into the pit, so there is probably damage on the car. That is gonna be a shame for his race. It's gonna be difficult now. Still a long race left, so... And look at this, we have a few battles there. Junior lock and load still right on the tail of Stephanie. We can see that it's Aresi getting hounded by our racer too, I believe. And it really is a great view to see these cars just blitzed through these corners here. As we see that our racer is thinking about it, he wants to get past Aresi. He's also getting pressured from behind by Pasha Proton. But look at this though, ILRT Ghost is gonna try to go around the outside of Gio through the long right-hander, passing the finish line, and it's gonna be a move done. Oh, but he goes wide, which leaves Gio still in first. But there you see why Ghost is providing the action in this race. He really wants it, he's really aggressive, he's gonna go for it. Unfortunately, once again, he's kind of miscalculated it, which leaves him in, which then makes it hard for him to get it. And I don't know exactly how. Oh, and what has happened there? Our racer, no rearing, and that is going to be a long pit stop, and that is not going to be good for our racer. Considering the championship standings, then he's going to lose a lot of points if he ends too far behind Gio. Gio, on the other hand, still under pressure from ILRT Ghost. Slicker not too far behind either. I know it is early in the race, but I reckon it is between the three of these drivers today. And obviously, with my early prediction being that Ghost win, I will keep my faith in him. And look at it, he's gonna go for it once again on the outside. He's just not that close this time. You can clearly see that these two drivers take some different lines through that corner though. And what about further down the field? We can see Junior lock and load being very close to the rear end of Stephanie. Ooh, as Stephanie goes wide, that leaves the opportunity open for Junior lock and load, which has gotten him past Stephanie then. And that's... Ooh, as it looks like Stephanie is going wide once again. I'm kinda starting to wonder if he might have some issues with the car, could be. And further down the field you can see that Siddharth is not too far behind Jabba the Hutt either, but right now I see the gap. Ooh, and Ghost has been in the wall somewhere. He's kinda have to have been. Looks like his windscreen is all smashed up, as it was last race too. But look at this though. ILRT Ghost on Geo once again around the outside. Passing the start finish. He's gonna make the move, but Geo brakes late and Ghost brakes way too late, leaving him wide and under attack from Slicker now. You can already see that this battle will go to the end. Junior lock and load though. As he's gotten past Stephanie, might he be able to catch a little up to these three? And we can see that Jabba the Hutt has been passed by Siddharth. Oh, but Siddharth looking like he's going a little wider. It is these two right now that we can see that are very tight together, although we can see that the gap between Ghost and Geo is going a little up and down, as Ghost have to have made a mistake right now, as he has just lost half a second. Jabba on the other hand is not able to keep up with Siddharth for the moment. And look at this, that smashed up windscreen for Ghost. One thing is for sure, Ghost has not given up. He's gonna come back at Geo for that position. As we can see that right now it is Geo putting up some really good laps though, with a 35.8 on the last lap. As we see a lot of different lines through some of these corners. Oh, and look at this, now we have Siddharth catching up to Aresi. That is gonna be our battle for the moment, and as we can see that Aresi seems to be struggling a little, Siddharth seems to be flying. Although he might have lost a small tad of time. And that, well, that is definitely deep. That is, well, it's a pretty straight up corner cut there from Siddharth. most likely have given him a penalty, I think. In the meantime, I did not catch it, but Ghost has to either have made a mistake or Slicker has just picked up his pace drastically right now, because he's just passed Ghost and he is on the hunt for Geo. As we get these beautiful images. What about Siddharth? He's closing in on Resi. Slicker trying to keep up, but Gio is driving really good laps for at the moment. His last lap might have not been that great, but Slicker is struggling to get within that second. As we're gonna have a look at the onboard view from Slicker trying to chase down Geo. You can see this, that he can clearly see him around most of the corners. And look at this. They seem pretty equaled out on the pace right now. It seems very nice and tidy. See, and what a beautiful view this is of this long oval. And you can see that. And Slicker might be pushing a bit too much through those corners, almost not doing them. But Slicker is still losing a little time. Geo is doing quick laps now, while Slicker is driving slightly slower. Resi and Siddharth. Oh, the gap is actually a bit bigger than I thought it initially was. Oh, but look at this though. Stephanie was under pressure from Junior lock and load in the beginning of the race. Now Junior lock and loads. I believe teammate Pasha Proton seems to be picking up that. Well, no, they are not teammates. So that is my bad. Car seemed a little similar though. But look at this. Pasha is trying to close up that gap. In the meantime, up ahead you can clearly see that Gio looks the strongest at the moment, as the two behind him are doing laps in the 36s. And Pasha trying to catch up to Stephanie to be able to make a move. It's not gonna happen yet. Ooh, and look at this. I'm not sure what's happened with Stephanie, but there's have to have been some problems there, because Stephanie went really slowly around that corner, getting passed by Pasha. well, that is an easy done move for Pashadan. Unfortunately, it kinda robbed us of a potentially good battle there. Hopefully, as we are closing in to the first 20 minutes of the race finished. As we have Gio still in the lead, and this is kinda starting to look like the race we saw. Not the last outing, but the race before that. I believe that was Japan. I think it was actually. I think it was at least where we saw Gio just dominating from start to finish, keeping Slicker not too far behind, but Slicker never really was able to pass him or to get close enough to pass him. And right now it's kinda starting to look like the same situation, but look at this though. Slicker is under pressure from ILRT Ghost, who's picked up the pace again, doing mid 35s at the moment. As we can see, that Ghost seems to be going a little deep. Oh, alright, I am not exactly sure if that was just a bit of lag or if he was actually off track, as it looks like Slicker had a lock up in that corner. Around the oval here. And look at this, Siddharth right behind Stephanie. Stephanie is falling further down, but it doesn't look like Siddharth will be close enough to make a move here, which means that Stephanie keeps his 7th position. But going into this long left-hander, we're gonna see Siddharth closing in, just not getting close enough. And further up the road we can see that Ghost is still trying to pressure. Oh, and look at that windscreen. It's gonna have to be horrible to look through, as we see that Slicker is locking up in that corner once again. And look at this Ghost in the slipstream. He's not looking close enough this time. See that through this combination, Slicker takes a really nice line. But once again, Ghost is not that far behind Slicker. And we might be... Ooh, and it looks like Slicker touched the grass on the entry. Which leaves Ghost right up the rear there. We can see Gio a little up in front. Oh, as I believe Slicker has made a mistake. He's definitely made a mistake, which leaves IRT Ghost up to second again. Slicker down in third. And Ghost is just gonna say thank you and try to catch up to Geo then. As it looks like a small local from Slicker there again, actually. Look at this Slicker getting close. Oh no, no, no! Slicker is off and into the barrier, and that front end is looking smashed up on the right side. Slicker Hour is still managing to have third position, but he's also lost a lot of time to Ghost now. And this will surely be a pit stop, I believe. As we see Junior lock and load and passing, Slicker going into the pit. And that is not what you wanted. This, however, does promote Junior lock and load up to third, while we have Pasha Proden in fourth now. Stephanie then up to fifth. And Slicker is gonna end in ninth. Or lower, it seems. Oh, but look at this. There is more action as we have Aresi and Yabada hurt. We also have Siddharth right behind, so it's a three-way battle for sixth at the moment. Oh, and I am not sure what happened to Yabba there, but something must have happened. But that leaves Siddharth up to seventh then. And we'll have a look at the timings so far, as Siddharth has either retired or lagged out. That is a shame for him, but look, this though Ghost is kinda catching up again now. But right now, if you look at the timings, we can see that the best lap seems to be ILRT Ghosts at the moment with a 35.5. Oh, barely actually. Our Slicker with a 35.536 so far too, so close one there. On the other hand, we can see that Geo is not looking that comfortable as we might have thought. He does have 3 seconds of penalty so far. Ghost with only 1 second. So, well, and we actually lost ILRT Ghosts too, which leaves then Geo in a comfortable first place, 13 seconds ahead of Junior Lock and Load, who's then been promoted up to second. And if I am not mistaken, that if he can get on the podium today, he's been there from the start of the season, but this is going to be his first podium of the season if he does not make any errors for the last hour and a half. So there's still a long way left for these drivers, but this could be Junior Lock and Load's chance to get that podium. When it comes to Pasha Podium, we can see that he is sitting in third at the moment. Not much pressure applied to him either. And if I am not mistaken, once again actually, Pasha Prodin has not gotten a podium this season yet either, so we might see two new drivers getting a podium this race then. Obviously, it's just a shame though, we're down to 9 drivers with an hour and a half left. Fortunately, it looks now also like Gio will easily get this win if he does not make a mistake. Luckily, oh, and look at this, our Slicker has actually just gotten past our Racer. As we can see, that Slicker has done a 35.4, which then should be the fastest lap of the race now. As we're now getting into that phase where there isn't much battling. There is mostly drivers driving around, concerning about their pulling out consistent lap times. With that, then we'll have a look at Gio in the lead. As it looks like he's actually about to lap someone. Gio also actually one of 4 drivers who's been, well, one of 5 drivers who's been able to complete 100% of the races so far this season. Slicker almost up there with 7 out of 8 races. And if I am not mistaken, it's actually Slicker who's just been passed by Gio. And what a shame that is. Slicker up there fighting for the win earlier in this race, but just half an hour into the race makes a crucial mistake, and it's now left to fight his way up the table again. So we're now gonna go on to a lap with Gio passing the start finish line there, goes into turn 1, which is a long left-hander, then into these combinations. As you can see that he is closing into another lapped car, taking a wide apex there, trying to get as much speed as possible out of the corner, then into medium hard braking zone. As we're then coming into this last hard braking zone before we're going out on the oval. And what is this lap gonna be? trying to take some curb. Then we're gonna see him in the last corner before the finish line, I believe, as we see the left car ahead of him. I believe that should be Michel, if I am not mistaken. That left Gio by on the outside there. And into turn 1 again. And a 36.1 on that lap. Slightly different line on this lap. What about Junior lock and load? The gap kinda staying the same as it's been for the last few laps. As I have just noticed, Ghost in the live stream. A shame about that, Ghost. If you didn't know it yet, I did put my first prediction of the day as YouTube win today, so that is 1 out of 1 predictions wrong so far. Oh, and look at this, we've actually got a battle further down the field now between Yaba and Aresi. As we're getting a look from inside the cockpit of Jabba chasing down Aresi. Oh, Aresi going a very wide line there in the oval there. We can see Jabba trying to take as much curb as possible to get as shortest line as he can through those corners. He's not that far off Aresi right now. We might see him going for a move in this next corner, but he should not be close enough. But Aresi is pitting, which leaves then Jabba in 5th at the moment. As we are going on board with Michel. Michel, who's shown some good pace, but he's also struggled a little to keep up with the quickest drivers there. As we see that Michel is going into the pit, which seems a bit early in my opinion, considering he had that early pit stop. What about Yaba then? He's staying out. Will he be able to make the overcut work on Aresi? So we're getting close to the 40-minute mark now. So Sorry about that. But it does not look like Yaba is managing to get closer to to Stephanie at the moment. Well, Ghost is just to answer your question, it is kind of hard not to predict, you know, considering we've seen it in the last few races that you have the pace to win. And if I can remember correctly, you do have a few pole positions too. As we can see, that Junior Lock and Load is pitting. So yeah, kinda have a feeling that you'll get that win, and then I'm gonna predict you. Obviously, might have struck you with the commentator's curse too. But you know, you'll keep hanging in there and you'll get your win. Well, you know, I would have liked to say that Gio will be challenged right now, but I honestly can't see anyone catching up to him anymore now, with Ghost out and Slicker down in 5th for the time being. Slicker on the other side is still driving good laps though and catching up to the drivers ahead of him. Exactly, Ghost. So I'm gonna make an early prediction for that round now, and I'm gonna stick with it. Last round of the season, Spa-Francorchamps. ILRT Ghost is gonna win. You'll remember that. One thing is, at least for sure, Ghost, after hearing that, will be training hard to get that win. Our racer though, the championship leader, not having his best race today either. Down in 6th at the moment. Obviously he lost his rear wing earlier in the race. Unfortunately we didn't catch that incident, so we didn't get to see what actually happened. But right now he will just be trying to drive consistently and get as much out of this race as possible. As Gio has been in the pit now, same with Pasha. What about Yaba? Yaba is still going, not yet pitting, which will leave him in 1st for the time being. Gio on the other hand, he's not that far behind. and look at this. After lock and loads pit stop now, we can see that Slicker is not far off. There's just a couple of seconds separating these two now, so if Slicker can keep this pace up, we might see a battle for third position. We could be ending up seeing a battle for first if Gio can catch up to Yaba too, but Yaba with a lighter fueled car at the moment should be able to keep that gap. Pasha seems to have lost a lot of time from his pit stop, as we see Jabba pitting. And that leaves Gio in the lead of the race again. A comfortable lead, that is, to 19 seconds ahead of Junior Lock and Load. Oh, 22 seconds ahead of Slicker. And I think I'm gonna go with the second prediction of the day then. And I'm gonna say that Junior Lock and Load in a strong position now. He's definitely getting a podium unless something happens. But I'm gonna say that Slicker is gonna get that third place in the end. And with the commentator's curse being a thing, we'll probably see Slicker doing a mistake soon then. Or Lock and Load. And I haven't actually noticed before now, but we are down to 8 drivers. So who we last lost now, I am not exactly sure about. Oh, that is most definitely true, Ghost. Oh, hold on a moment. Alright, so you and Slicker are teammates, alright. Aresi, ah yeah, of course he is the one who's last we lost. Well, that is a shame. We've then also lost the battle between Aresi and Yaba, I believe it was. So we're getting close to the first hour of the race being finished. Any questions for me, just put them in the live stream chat and I'll try to answer my best. Junior Lock and Load is keeping the pace pretty well at the moment. Slicker not really able to close that gap further down than what it is right now. Well, you know, we'll give Pasha some screen time now. So we're joining him around this circuit now. Thank you, Ghost. Did not actually think about that. As we're following Pasha Proton. So I guess that is the sitter from the race then. Well, it's a shame, but you gotta think forward as Ghost also has to do then. There is one more race this season around Spa-Francorchamps. And remember, you can never get enough practice. As you can see, the incredible speeds they're going through these corners. Almost 180 miles per hour out of the ovals. As we then can see them going quick into this slower section where you really have to brake a lot to slow the car down. Look at this, we can see that Slicker has caught a little up to Junior Lock and Load now. There is under a second separating these two, fighting for second place at the moment. Obviously though, Slicker will have to pit in not too long. And look at this, gaining time here, slipstreaming, we will see him move. Oh, I'm pretty certain Slicker wanted to make the move there, but he couldn't get quite close enough. Slicker is getting very close, as we can see Junior Lock and Load out, braking himself a little, almost leaving a gap open for Slicker then. We will still have Lock and Load in second. And now we can see Slicker should be able to make the move here, as it almost looks like Junior Lock and Load is just letting Slicker by. To be fair, it's not really what I want if that is the case, but I do have to say though, as a racer, that it's totally understandable if you just want to try to follow Slicker instead and keep his pace up. And when it comes to you, Ghost, as a racer, I know how that feeling is. I've done plenty of races where my pace has been absolutely spot on, but my consistency has just been, well, non-consistent pretty much. look at this now. We could be getting a three-way battle between Slicker. Well, no, I was picking wrong there. Well, you have a point there. As I believe we can see Slicker just making his way past our racer, I believe that is. I got to give it to Slicker though. After that crash, still not more than 20 seconds behind Gio. Obviously Slicker made an earlier pit stop, so he's should be pitting way earlier than everybody else now. But he's still doing a good job to recover his race here. Our racer on the other end, the championship leader, is not looking too strong at the moment, struggling to actually get up to the back of Michel. And we can clearly see now that Slicker is really pushing those tires with a 35 won the last lap. He's pushing out everything he can from that car now in hopes to get as good a position as he can today. The only problem will be that pit stop strategy. Could still work out though. I will try to remember that, but it will be interesting to see. Only a few minutes away from the hour mark and halfway through the race, and it's still Gio in a comfortable lead here. If you're still watching Ghost, would you like to guess who's gonna get second and third? As we see the yellow car of Stephanie trying to catch up to Pasha. Stephanie started in a decent position today, lost a few positions. Now after all, he's still in 5th, although a few guys who could have been ahead has, yeah, well, we've lost them of course. One thing is for sure, then Ghost believe in his teammate Slicker. And well, it has to be said, Slicker is doing very quick laps now. But that gap to Geo is still 16 seconds, as well as the pit strategy. And mentioning that, we can see that it's not gonna be too long before we see Slicker making a pit stop. But as we can see though, Ghost is faithful in Slicker and believes that second is still on the table at least. As he's predicting Geo Slicker lock and load as 1, 2, 3. And right now it is looking very likely. At least if one thing is sure, Geo is there should be nothing to take that win from Geo today. It's only a mistake on his side who can take his victory away. As we can see that Stefan is still just a few seconds behind Pasha, but not really able to catch up. Look at the timings, and we can see that it is still Slicker with the fastest lap with a 35.1. Second fastest right now is, well, that is Geo with a 35.6. Getting slightly closer to Geo again now. One thing is sure at least, and that is Geo is gonna take a lot of points in the championship today on our racer, as our racer is still down in 8th, and right now it doesn't look like our racer will be getting another position than 8th either. I will have to admit that I can't exactly remember the point system. Which I am not too surprised of by my bad memory. Well, I will have to agree with you on that, Ghost. I've seen from the few races I've been here that Slicker has been one of the quickest drivers and a pretty reliable driver too, except for a few mishaps here and there, but everyone has those. So second is definitely on the table. And talking about second being on the table, I am not exactly sure what's... Alright, the gaps went a little weird for a moment. But Junior lock and load still only 20 seconds behind Geo, which will be 6 seconds behind Slicker then. Pasha Proton on the other hand looked like he would be able to get on the podium earlier too, but right now sitting down in fourth position, almost yeah, almost 40 seconds behind Slicker. It's gonna be very difficult. Still see that Stefan is trying to keep up his pace too, trying to get on the rear of Pasha, but as we've seen the last, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, he's not able to catch up. He's able to keep the gap there. And Slicker will finally be pitting again. And where will he be coming out then? You can see Pasha getting close. Well, true. Well, if you haven't noticed, Dan Slicker had an incident with the wall earlier in this race, which made him having to pit early for repairs, which then leads him pit down pretty much, as we can see now. And Slicker, as we can see, has gotten out in 6th, ahead of Michel and R-Racer, just behind Diaba, and now I think we're finally gonna have a battle on our hands again. In not long, hopefully at least. And with just over 50 minutes left of the race, I can't say for sure that Slicker will be able to hold. Maybe he'll be able to go to the end. I think he's gonna have to pit again, which is his problem at the moment. Look at this now, Slicker just a little above a second behind Yaba. And he's gaining a lot through these oval corners. Will Yaba be able to keep Slicker behind? I will have to say that I don't think he will for long, at least not if Slicker is closer where the oval starts this next time. Another battle too that we might have to look out for is the battle for third between Pasha and Stephanie, as they're not separated by much either. Alright, well, thank you for that, Ghost. So, with that then, if you need, yeah. So if Gio gets 60 points today, he's gonna be on 360, I believe. Well, 359.5. Our racer in P8, it looks very much like he's gonna end there. We'll get 18, so he's still gonna have a lead, but only by 9 points then, I believe, before the last race of the season. So it is really all or nothing for the both of them in the last race of the season. As we can see that Slicker now is right on the tail of Yaba, and this is what we race for, the battles, the adrenaline, and I just got a little caught up there. Thought we were getting a battle. Yaba wants to do his own race, he doesn't want to hold up Slicker apparently, which leaves Slicker in 5th at the moment. And we're gonna see Yaba just trying to keep up with Slicker then. And Pasha in 3rd. That is the position I believe Slicker is now looking at. And it's 15 seconds up there for Slicker. And on another note, when it comes to the standing, it is a bit of a shame that Thomas isn't there today, as he was also in the battle for the championship. But until today, as he will be losing too much points to be able to contend in the last race then. As for Junior Lock and Load, sitting in 2nd at the moment, it will be his best race of this season. It's gonna be his first podium this season. But it is still 50 minutes left to not make a bottle or get caught out by the commentator's curse. As we can see that the gap is going slightly up again between Stephanie and Lock and Load. Slicker on the other hand is pulling away from Jabba, catching up to Stephanie. There is still a gap between them. As we're going on board in the cockpit with Junior Lock and Load, and he will certainly appreciate his time. As we can see, he's going into this corner at around 107 miles per hour. Onto the oval again, reaching a speed of over 170 miles per hour through this corner. Looked like he was starting to go a little wide there in the first corner, but he seems to have gotten well through. So we're going into this, I guess it's kind of an hairpin there. And looking at this, it should not be too many laps before Junior Lock and Load goes in for his last pit stop. To the oval we go again, and it looks like a nice and tidy exit there, as he's gonna try to carry out the most the highest possible speed he can through here. You can see him drifting a little wide in the middle of the oval. As we go through, this is gonna be what kind of speeds we get through here. Up to 190 miles per hour through these corners. Ooh, as it looks like lock and load is, well, it looks like he's going a little wide, but it could actually just be the line he takes through that corner. Oh, that is a real shame, Demon. He was up there, and him and Gio was really providing us with a really excited opening race. After that, after Ghost went out and we lost Slicker in that incident. Well, didn't actually lose Slicker, as Slicker is still here, but we lost the fight for the win. Slicker is driving quickly at the moment, trying to catch up to Stephanie. Obviously, Slicker with a heavier car at the moment will struggle a little through the corners to catch up. But the gap is going down. As for Gio, we can see that he's also looking at his last pit stop in not long now. As there is 44 minutes left of the race now. And Slicker is only 7 seconds off that final podium position. Oh, as we have Pasha in the pit. As we're gonna have Stephanie into the pit now. Slicker will obviously keep on. Looks nice and tidy through turn 1. This, no. And I actually believe it was Gio we saw in the background behind there. Almost a minute and 20 separating third and first. That is very different from what we've seen in the previous few races, where it's pretty much just been around up to 10 seconds. As Michel is going in for his last pit stop too. We'll have a new look at the timing to see that right now. Oh, and look at that actually. That is something I did not know about before I checked now, but Stephanie has 20 seconds of penalty so far. Which means that actually, well, oh, and look at this. I believe we have our racer right behind Stephanie right now. We do, and look at this. Our racer has an opportunity to get back a position here. I do believe, however, that our racer also needs to pit later on before the finish. Our racer trying to close that gap, as we can see that it's a wide line from Stephanie there. It's actually very different lines these two are taking. Kinda looks a little like Stephanie is overdriving the car, pushing too much into the corners, leaving him exposed in the middle of them. As Junior Lock and Load is in for his last pit stop of the race. That will leave Slicker in second for the time being. However, I am pretty certain that Slicker will have to pit one more time. Our racer still trying to get a toll from Stephanie. He's really not close enough yet. Oh, and our racer seems to be losing a little time now. On the other hand, Junior Lock and Load has came out in fourth position, only about 15 seconds behind Slicker in second. And just about 6 seconds up to Yeba. As we get Junior Lock and Load over the line there. We've driven 49 laps so far. Have to say that I am impressed by the fact that these drivers are able to still concentrate, putting in good lap times down in the 35s. At least we can see that Slicker's done a 35.6 on his last lap. As Gio is now in the pit. Well, Gio should actually come out comfortable ahead of Slicker. And that, I think, is game over for Slicker in this race. With Gio still ahead, I don't see any chance of Gio not winning the race today. Oh, hello to you, Philippe. further down, we can see that our racer still trying to catch up to Stephanie, but the gap is remaining as it was earlier. Slicker is ahead of Yaba still, but Slicker might actually not have to pit again. It's difficult to say at the moment. $40 liters of fuel. Too hard to say for me. On the other hand, it looks like our racer has managed to put himself a bit closer to Stephanie again now. Although they are obvious, they're not lapping anyone. They're being lapped by Gio right now. Put a splash of fuel in. Well, I will have to say that I think Slicker will either be able to keep driving until the end, or it's as Ghost will say he's gonna have to put in a splash of fuel in the end. But if that is the case, then second might still be on the table. I do, however, believe that Junior Lock and Load should have second sorted now. You can see that Junior Lock and Load is a little over 4 seconds behind Yaba. About 18 seconds behind Slicker, so if Slicker have to pit, he should still get that second place back then. Junior Lock and Load. Ooh, and I've just noticed actually that Michel is getting pretty close to Pasha Proden now, as Michel has, well, he has made his last pit stop. You see him just a little, well, around a second behind Pasha actually, as Yaba is now in to make his last pit stop. It looks like then he's gonna end in 4th after his pit stop. But look at Michel though, he's looking feisty at the moment, as we can see Pasha going a little wide in that corner, leaving him very exposed through these oval corners, as we can see that Michel is on the inside. And ooh, and it looks like Pasha has made some contact with the wall there. Hopefully he did not get any damage from it. But on the other side, Michel has then gotten through and is up to 7th. Pasha seems to have lost a lot of times, because I do believe he was actually in the fight for a podium earlier in this race. Our racer is still chasing Stephanie. If he's a little lucky when Gio's gonna have to lap Stephanie. He could be lucky and gain a little time on that. With that done, our racer, well, our racer is actually, yeah, that is. For a moment there, I was thinking that our racer has made his last pit stop, but he hasn't, so he will have to pit again, which means that he will most likely end up in 8th still. Slicker, on the other hand, still might make it to the end. I will have to say it is difficult to decide. Of course, we have Gio still in the lead, with nobody challenging him at the moment. Slicker might be the only driver who can challenge Gio right now, and that is if he can make the fuel last to the end. And to be fair, if he can, then Gio does have a 3-second time penalty. Slicker has no time penalty so far. But I will say that that is very unlikely. See now that Slicker's laps isn't exactly down in the 35s anymore either. He's up in the 37s now. Junior Lock and Load still in 3rd. Our racer still in 5th, chasing Stephanie. And I believe that our racer will be pitting this or the next lap. Oh, and talking about it, we can see our racer then going into the pit. This is gonna be his final pit stop. We can see Yaba already passing him for for 5th. Michel is about to get to pass the pit lane as he's then gonna be 6th. Our racer is still in the pit, and there we have Pasha Proden in 7th. So as it is right now, then our racer won't get higher than an 8th position today. Can also See that right now we see our Slicker is pushing again. He's down in the 35s. Yeah, in the 35s on his laps now. There's 17 seconds up to Gio. I don't see that changing. But obviously it is the fight for second right now between Slicker and Lock and Load. And looking at Slicker's fuel right now, I think we can say for sure that Slicker will have to make a last pit stop towards the end. Which then will lead us to the question if he can if he can actually catch up to Junior Lock and Load after his last pit stop. Then I will have to say that it is third place that is looking most likely for Slicker now. The gap down to fourth is fortunately for Slicker big right now. And now we're gonna head on to Gio to get a look at a lap around this track with him, when I believe he's going into the last oval corner before the start finish line right now. And we will then have a look to see where he's probably gaining time on the other drivers. So we're in the oval into turn 1. It's that double left-hander. Then we're gonna go into this small kind of chicane before the hairpin. So we can see that Gio is taking it maybe a little tighter line than I've seen him do a bit earlier in the race. So we can also see that he is about to lap a car. And I believe that is Stephanie still with those 20 seconds of time penalty. Will actually be down in 6th when the race finish, as it stands right now. So we see Gio then coming into this. Guess it's a chicane, kind of a double chicane there. Into the last few corners of this oval before he heads into turn 1, once again in the lead. So we only have just over 20 minutes left of the race. And what about Slicker? He will have to pit, it's for sure now. You can clearly see that Slicker does have the pace, as he has closed the gap up to Gio down to 12 seconds now. The more interesting gap, obviously, is the gap between Slicker and Lock and Load. It's about 32 seconds at the moment. Slicker obviously having to make one more pit stop before he will make it to the end. And it will be close between Slicker and Lock and Load in the end. And we can see that further down the field there is these small gaps between everyone. As Slicker is about to lap, I would think that is not Pasha, that is Michel, I believe. As we see Michel just slowly moving over to let Slicker pass. You could also see a car in the background behind Michel, and that would then be Pasha Prodom. And Pasha could possibly still steal that 6th place from Michel. Slicker is still catching on Gio. And when thinking about it, I believe actually Michel had an incident early on in the race too. We're below the last 20 minutes of the race, and Slicker will be about to pit in a few laps time. And it's just when we see Slicker making his last pit stop, we will see where he will actually be. As it is right now, I am pretty certain that Slicker will still be ahead of Stephanie. Well, yes, Stephanie. And it does not look like Pasha is catching enough on Michel at the moment. So we're gonna go on to the timing table one last time before the race ends. And we can see that Gio still has that 3-second time penalty, the same for Junior Lock and Load. And for Stephanie, there is still a 20-second penalty. And by that then, if the gaps stay as they are right now, then we will see Stephanie falling down the order after the race is finished. And what about Slicker? He can't be far from his pit stop. He isn't. It's gonna be this lap or the next lap. 15 more minutes, Slicker, and then today's race will be over. Can you still get that podium? And now we're gonna go on to... Oh, and I believe he then sees Slicker into the pit. It is his last pit stop. He got the gap down to 7 seconds before he made it. But where is Junior Lock and Load? He's in the oval. If he's gonna be able to stay ahead of Slicker or not is really the question right now, as we can see that Slicker is still in second. And I believe we can see Slicker on his way out of the pit now, so the overcut seems to have worked perfectly in the end. Junior Lock and Load. Still behind Slicker by about 8 seconds now. Slicker does not have any penalties last time we checked. I believe that Lock and Load does not have any penalties either. As we are getting closer and closer to the last 10 minutes of the race, and that is usually the period where we see people getting desperate to get that one last position. As Michel is going into the pit, this will be his last pit stop of the day, I am certain of that. But the question is, will he still be ahead of our racer? And look at this, Gio still in the lead, well ahead of everybody else. I am afraid to say it, but it is looking like the race has kinda died a little. We are not really getting any battles. It is Gio for the win, and Slicker is in second. Then it is Junior Lock and Load, then Stephanie in fourth, although Stephanie will lose a few positions because of the time penalties. Considering, well, there is one battle we might have incoming. Two battles actually. As our racer is just about ahead of Michel. Ooh, as we see Michel going a little wide. Looks like we might get a battle for fourth later on too, if not Pasha, but if Yaba can just catch up a small tad more. The podium positions on the other end looks pretty set now, with Geo Slicker and Junior Lock and Load. I didn't mention it earlier, this is going to be Lock and Load's first podium this season. So Ghost is probably not happy about what happened to his race, but Junior Lock and Load will be very happy, I believe. But right now you can see Michel on the outside of our racer into turn 1, trying to find a gap. And this is what we want, the last battle at the end, as we're now inside the last 10 minutes. And Michel is right behind our racer. This is literally the fight to not end last in today's race. And our racer, our championship leader, to get that 7th instead of that 8th would be a big wish for our racer. Only 9 minutes to go as we see Michel on the inside, and we can see that our racer has just completely outbraked himself and just completely corner cutted there. And we can see that Michel has lost a little time to our racer because of that. We can see that Slicker is putting up the 35 laps. Unfortunately, the gap seems to be too big at the moment. But Yaba might be on his way to make a move on Stephanie now. There's just beneath 8 minutes left of the race, and we can now see a few drivers bunching up a little again. As we can see that Yaba is now inside a second behind Stephanie. Ooh. As it looks like Pasha might have miscalculated his fuel earlier, as he does a pit stop now, right before the end. And look at this, our racer and Michel side by side. Michel ahead of our racer now. As I believe. Ooh, as our racer goes very wide. That could be a gift to Michel right there. R-Racer down in 7th. 6th would be very good for his championship chances. He will still be leading the championship after this race. But if he can get just one last position, that will help him massively, as it's far from decided before the last race. But look at this, Yaba is right behind Stephanie now. And he could possibly have a go at Stephanie right at the end now. Well, that might be Demon. I can't say I remember exactly what you mean. Or what. Or when it was, for that matter. But Yaba is still trying to just get close enough to Stephanie to make a move. Although it looks like that second is about what he can get. He doesn't seem to be able to get much closer. Yeah, into the first corner. He has to make every corner count now to catch up to Stephanie. There's only just above 44 minutes left of this race, which means that I believe we're gonna see Gio, depending a little on where he is, but it's at least 2 laps left. It might be 3. Well, Marcel, to answer that question, I am doing commentary, so that is why I'm not racing. And, well, to be a little more specific, I am pretty much horrible at project cars, as you know. And we are talking horrible then. Reaching the 3-minute mark now. It does not look like Yaba will be able to get that position. Our racer seems to have slipped off Michel too, which means that right now it looks like we have our final order unless anybody makes a mistake. But Gio, he can even make 2 mistakes and still be in the lead. Well, Marcel, you do know that I'm just too horrible on project cars. If I was driving a safety car, they would have just been complaining about the safety car being too slow. As Gio is coming around these last few corners. And it looks right like we'll get just about 2 more laps, possibly. I've said it before, Marcel, I'll stick to F1. That's what I can. Gio should be passing the start finish line right after this, and there it is, and this should be the final lap. Then he will not be able to get another lap after that. So, and to be fair, we're already over 72 laps done, so it's been a long one. We're gonna have our look at Gio now and let him enjoy the glory after another win this time out, after his abysmal race last time out. Well, that is a good question, to be fair. In Dubai, I believe it was. Should have been, yeah. As Gio is now closing on into the finish line. It's 20 seconds left of the race, and we can clearly see now that Gio is only gonna get to finish this lap, which means that in just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the time is out. Gio will be passing the line. He will be the winner of AOR Endurance Tier 2 Round 9 around Daytona Road Course. It will be Slicker who takes home second today after an impressive recovery drive after, well, I believe he was pretty much last after his crash early on with the wall, but he's managed to save second as he goes over the finish line. Then we'll have Junior Lock and Load in third position, probably the happiest driver on the grid today, as this will be his first podium of the season. And while nothing is quite like that first podium in the season when you haven't gotten it yet, and you will then see that it is Gio in first, taking the win today, ahead of Slicker in second, Junior Lock and Load in third, Jabba the Hutt in fourth in the end, Michel in fifth. They are both moving up a position because of Stephanie's 20-second time penalty. In seventh we see our racer, then in eighth we have Pasha Proton. We lost a few drivers during the race, obviously. We lost ILRT Ghost, we lost Aresi, and yeah, I know there is one more we lost, but I can't seem to find the name right now. Siddharth it was, of course. Siddharth was also on a charge for a small while there. And well, this race didn't bring quite the same action as we've seen in the previous races, where we'd have close fought battles through the whole race. Today we kind of lost that when Slicker had his incident. Ghost went out, but all in all, it was still a good race with a especially solid drive from Gio, a recovery up to second for Slicker. Junior Lock and Load just doing his work today, pretty much keeping his pace up, not doing many mistakes to get that podium position. And well, by that, I I think we are gonna call it a day today then. So this has been AOR Endurance Tier 2 Round 9 around Daytona Road Course. I've been C3, your host today. Unfortunately, we did not have Alaric here today, but I do believe he will be there for the final in 2 weeks' time around Spa-Francorchamps, and we are just gonna have to look forward to that race. I believe it's gonna be a great finish to the season. For now then, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you to everyone who's been here, and hopefully we'll see you again. So good night and thank you.